Hello friends, we'll take literally any excuse to wear this suit here, bringing you another Dota 2 video with my co-host, Mr. Vaded. How's it going, El?
Doing just fine.
That's good.
Jen.
I caught you off guard with that one, didn't I? So this video is going to be the first video and hopefully a series called The Pub Judge, where you submit replays, you submit cases where you got in an argument with a jackass in your pub, but maybe you're the jackass, and that's what we're going to decide is who are the jackasses in today's clips. Okay, first up on the docket, we have a case between Mrs. Maiden and Mr. Knott. Mr. Knott basically wasn't happy with the fact that Mrs. Maiden had stolen a couple of last hits in the allegedly stolen some last hits in the laning phase of Dota 2 video game by Valve Enterprises. And he said, you know what? I'm going to go into the jungle and I'm going to last hit some neutral creeps where they can't be stolen. So I believe here's where we're about to see the issue arise. Spam pings come out.
Oh, very important.
And then there's the steal. Okay. Juggernaut misses the last hit. Misses the last hit. Does not have a quelling blade. And the camera goes immediately to the jungle. Okay. That is interesting. Wow.
Oh, wow. That is some... I will say it's quick decision-making by the Juggernaut. He immediately identifies that does not feel like he will be getting anything out of this lane because of the Crystal Maiden's ability to last hit better than him. So, as we can see, they are about tied in farm at the moment. And he has completely committed to this strategy of going to the jungle.
If only there was something that you could purchase. And once again, this is an issue with Valve software, not an issue with Juggernaut or Mrs. Maiden. If only there was something you could purchase to make last hitting easier, something that would give you like 50% of your damage extra in terms of getting CS. That would be pretty nice to have in this situation. But
I do believe it's really important that you bring it out on the courier
or start with it,
because you definitely don't want to be spending any time going to the side shop to get a quelling blade because the alleged weapon that we're talking about. A quelling blade.
All right, okay. To be real, this is awful. This is like... So what appears to me... This seems to be the issue here, is that Crystal Maiden gets the range creep last hit, which the Juggernaut wasn't going to get in the first place. Let's watch the range creep last hit quickly here. So...
Not only is Juggernaut not going to get there in time.
Look, he wouldn't even have gotten it if the Enchantress had swung to go for the deny there. He wasn't even going for it. And then he misses this CS. And that's what triggers him. That's the trigger. It's not the Crystal Maiden. It's his inability to last hit. When this case was brought up to be entered into this courtroom, what I originally was thinking would happen is we would look at this replay and we'd see a ranged creep, which naturally, you and I both know, Donnie, Mr. Chell, that supports take ranged creep last hits because they're not melee heroes. You know, they're heroes that you don't want the Juggernaut to have to run through, take a bunch of harass from the Enchantress, possibly have her deny it. It's safer to have the Crystal Maiden take it. But in this particular situation, it's not even that. It's actually the Jug's inability to last hit, and he doesn't even have a fucking quelling blade. Oh my god. So
yeah. So, I mean, and not only that, but if we were to go back a little bit earlier, we'd see that Crystal Maiden actually pinged, hey, make sure you get this range creep.
Right.
Like, well before any of these events transpired.
Mr. Knott is indeed at fault here, and I would say that the punishment is... I think maybe he owes Crystal Maiden a couple of quelling blades. I don't know about you.
Couple of quelling blades. I was going to sentence him to 5 games of playing only hard support in the ranked roles queue so that he understands the plight of the Crystal Maiden in this scenario and will never subject any support to that treatment ever again.
Okay, so our second case on the docket is a case between our plaintiff, who is Invoker, Mr. Queen, and his Faceless Void, Mr. S. Disturbed. So what our boy here was claiming is that his team built. I shouldn't say his team because it's not. There aren't co-defendants here. There's one defendant. It's the Faceless Void. The issue that he had with the Faceless Void was that Faceless Void built a bunch of late game items with an Alchemist on his team. It wasn't necessary to build these late game items as an offlane Void. That's the issue that we're running into here.
I do think it's kind of important to look at the context of the game, though, just because sometimes you will have a game where it's pretty clear that your carry is not going to carry, and so you kind of need to carry. It's definitely a viable strategy in some pubs.
Is it too unreasonable to think that, okay, these heroes want to just farm from minute 1 to minute 50? Maybe I'll just farm as well. Do you think that's a little unreasonable? I mean, maybe he can take like aggressive farm. I guess that's a question that we can answer later on into the game, as our boy in Faceless Void does indeed start with a Quelling Blade and one set of tangos and Time Walk.
Pre-skilled before the runes.
Pre-skilled, yeah, that's quite fascinating.
I mean, right there, it does kind of get us into his mindset, though. He says, I am a carry player. My support will feed me regen. I'm going to have the lane in a good spot, which means that I don't need Time Walk to, stay alive. And therefore, I'm probably just going to go for Battle Fury right off the bat, just because I'm the carry.
Oh, Jesus, he swapped it to Battle Fury. No! It was Mask of Madness at first.
Yes, to be fair, we do have a kind of an awkward support duo, I would say, on Radiant, because you have a very defensive support in the Lich, and then you have a Tusk who wants to be aggressive, but he doesn't really have anybody to be aggressive with. And so the ability to actually do stuff until everybody has a few items is somewhat limited. Although, as we just talked about, the Invoker is that hero that you can do stuff with. And so it does kind of make sense that, maybe this seemingly awkward draft is really not so awkward as long as the Invoker is doing the active role that would normally be, delegated to the Void and the position 5 and position 4 supports.
Right. With that being said, I'm in total agreement. Let's say this carry is something like, I don't know, Juggernaut, something that can kind of go in and out of being greedy and playing active. Some hero that has timings. Some hero that's possibly not going to do all the carrying in the late game. If that were the case, then I would possibly agree with items in the same line of thinking as our defendant. But with that being said, number one, this is extremely greedy, so it's pushing that to its absolute limit. And then this is an alchemist. You don't need anybody else farming if there's an alchemist farming on your team. You would rather him farm the camps that the Void is going to take with Battle Fury. You'd rather the Alch farm it because he gets more gold and he is perfectly capable of farming it. So with that being said, I would say that I like your line of reasoning and I agree with it, but in this particular situation, it might sound good on paper, but in practice, it's going to be a complete failure. So I would say that I agree with the plaintiff that the Faceless Void did indeed ruin the game by building these items as an offlane Faceless Void.
Also, let's be perfectly honest, you have an Invoker and you have a Chain Frost to dump into the Chronosphere, so having as many Chronospheres as possible is probably the way that you win this game, and so you're going to want to see stuff that allows them to get active, move around the map, use every Chronosphere effectively, and then probably head into an early Ags to take advantage of that timing.
Right. This isn't one of those games where you don't have good Void combos. This is legitimately a decent offlaner in this game, but You're not playing it as an offlaner with these items. You're playing it as a carry.
No, the Faceless Void, I think, in this case, is going to have to perform in reparation to the Invoker for ruining his game to the tune of 3 games of low priority, no carry for a week, and a sum total of 2.5 healing salves.
So that's it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. To recap the verdicts for today's cases, these are both Donnie's jokes, by the way, but I'm stealing them. Juggernaut is guilty of creep-related negligence and will have to pay dues of 2 or 3 quelling. What were the verdicts that we decided? I don't remember.
I think we can't reiterate them.
1 healing wards or two quelling blades. The Juggernaut is fucking guilty. That's the bottom line here. And Void is guilty of Donald Trumpian levels of greed and will have to pay at least 2 or 3 successful teamfight chronospheres worth of, what was it that you said? I don't remember. In any case, if you agree with the verdicts that apparently we don't remember, let us know in the comments down below, and we'll see you in the next Pub Judge.